Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2025 horror film 825 Forest Road. The film is written and directed by Stephen Cognetti, and it stars Elizabeth Vermelia, Catherine Miller, and Joe Falcone. Now, the film focuses on a family who essentially move into a new house, into a new town. You've got a husband and his wife, and the husband's younger sister after a tragic accident took the lives of their mother. So they're hoping to start a new life. They're all very, very keen to get started. However, it turns out that the town has a very, very dark secret, and it has been haunted. The town itself has been haunted for many decades, and it's starting to affect them and their house and their lives very drastically. And they have to try and figure out what to do and sort the problem. Right. What are my thoughts on 825 Forest Road? Well, this is brought to us by Stephen Cognetti, who, if you don't recognise that name, he is the guy that has brought us the Hell House films, all of them. And I'm a big fan of the Hell House franchise. I think, generally speaking, most of those films are very good at what they do. They're very effective, and this guy really does have an eye for horror. This, I believe, is his first foray into traditional filmmaking, whereas his other features have been all found footage style. So I was very keen to check this one out. I've been looking forward to it. I just struggled to have time to fit it in before now. But while I do think this film is quite ambitious, actually, in what it's trying to do, I think it almost tries to do too much. And it becomes a little bit confused in its own narrative at times, I think. It tells the story in chapters, if you like. It's like a non-linear story. So you'll see one section of the story, and then once it's told that, it'll tell the same section again later, but from a different perspective. So each time you kind of watch it, it adds a new layer of knowledge, your knowledge, to what happened previously. For example, there's a scene where the younger sister who's moved in with them, Isabel, I think she's called, she's sat in her room talking to a friend, and then the husband's wife walks in and says to her, "Have you been messing with my... have you been messing in my room?" Because she's like a seamstress, so she does like live streams to everybody and shows them how to make, clothes and all that kind of stuff. And Isabel says, "No, I've not been in there." And you don't really think anything of it, but later in the film, it fleshes that scene out so that when she goes in to ask, "Have you been in my room?" you know why she's asking that question, because some creepy stuff's been happening in her room, ultra creepy stuff. So it kind of tells its story that way. Initially, I wasn't sure if I was going to like that, but it actually worked out quite. I quite liked the way it was telling its story. Like I say, it added a new layer of knowledge to each scene that you'd seen previously, which I liked. I think, like I said, it is a bit confused in the story it wants to tell. Essentially, the whole town is haunted, we're told. They even hold secret town meetings to discuss this ghostly spirit that is haunting them. From a spirit that was wronged in 1952, I think, something like that, or even earlier than that. So they've been haunted ever since, and terrible things have befallen the people in this town. There's been suicides constantly. It does beg the question why you wouldn't just bugger off and live in a cardboard box somewhere, because it doesn't sound like the most pleasant place to live. So, I mean, it does raise quite a lot of questions, for me anyway. I don't know about you, but if I was moving to a new house, never mind a new town, you would research these days, especially with the state of social media and stuff and the internet, you would research thoroughly the neighbourhood you were moving into. What's it like? Any issues, any problems, all that kind of stuff. But if you were moving to a new town, you'd do that even more. But these guys move into the house, haven't got a clue. And surely there would be stuff all over the internet saying that, you know, this town is cursed or this town is haunted or the people are a bit weird, whatever. And you'd kind of have second thoughts about it. So it does raise them sort of questions, and you kind of like, hang on a minute. And then you've got other things in the film like Marie, I think she's called, the seamstress woman. She's constantly doing live streams, like I say, and they are very creepy. Don't get me wrong, because she's got this bloody mannequin that makes Annabelle look like Mother Teresa. And this mannequin keeps buggering off. I called it Anakin, then that's a mixture of Annabelle and mannequin. Do you like it? But this mannequin keeps buggering off, or whatever. It's buggering off outside, or it's buggering off to the other end of the room, or it's twisted its head to look at you. And I came to the conclusion that mannequin could just do one. It was very, very creepy indeed, but it did beg the question: why would you keep that thing, or why would you have it in the first place? Because it looked like an extra from Dawn of the Dead. It looked awful and very, very creepy. So I did like some of the stuff that they're doing in here, and this director is very good at kind of making inanimate objects seem terrifying. He did it with Hell House, with the the clown stuff and the mannequins there, and he does it again here with the mannequins here. He knows how to conjure a scare out of his audience, and there are some very, very creepy scenes here with this ghostly entity, where it's talking to people downstairs in a really horrible, spooky voice, and then jumping out of corners at them. All that kind of stuff works well here. I think, like I say, the film just gets confused in its own narrative here and there, and by the end, it was a bit like, that felt a bit rushed to me. Didn't really give us, didn't give me, I feel, what I'd describe as a satisfying ending, because essentially the whole town has been looking for this 825 Forest Road since this tragedy with this woman that has turned into this entity that's haunting them all. Nobody can find this place. The blueprints and the town details have been locked away for a long, long time. And it's believed whoever finds it and, I don't know, does something, cleanses it, I don't know, it will stop these evil events, sort of thing. And the way they find this property, you're just kind of thinking, hang on a minute, people have been looking for it for decades, and nobody thought to do what you've just done? Yeah, I don't buy it. So it has some problems, the film, in regards to common sense stuff and some narrative issues, and it gets a bit convoluted here and there. And I think probably he's overextended himself a tad here, the director. There are some definitely creepy moments that work well here, but I think maybe he just needed to dial back a little bit and just focus on those raw scares and the raw horror that I think he's best at. I think this is a good attempt. I don't think it's as good as his Hell House films, but there is definitely potential here with this director. I think he just needs, because he's a writer and director. He might even be a producer as well. I haven't checked, but sometimes you do need people to kind of sit them down and say, just dial it back a bit. You know what I mean? This is getting a bit much. You know what I mean? Let's just focus on this, and this. I did have a decent time watching this one. It did conjure a few jumps out of me, sort of thing. So you can't really ask for a great deal more for a film like this. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll be back with more content on the channel very, very soon.